Rocket League is primarily a team sport, or at least that's what most people find so fun and interesting about it. We've all had those moments where we found that perfect teammate and it felt like we were just basically unstoppable. In this video, I'm looking at teams that were so good and played so well together that they were basically unstoppable, at least for a period of time. I'm counting down my picks for the greatest Rocket League teams of all time. Okay, before we start, I want to let you know that this video is actually sponsored by GAMERLINK. GAMERLINK is this really cool app, and it's honestly a great company. I'm super proud to be sponsored by them. Anyways, it's a LFG app, or a looking for group app. Basically, it connects players from different video games, Rocket League included, who are of similar skill levels and similar interests. I felt like this was a really good video for them to sponsor, since it's really all about helping players find teammates, because let's be real, solo queuing is just not as fun as playing with someone. So make sure to check out GAMERLINK. I've put a link in the description below if you want to go check that out, and you can start finding teammates today. Alright, let's get into my picks for the greatest Rocket League teams of all time. Number 10, Chief Esports. Although it could be argued that the Chiefs aren't quite on the level of many of these other teams, and maybe there are some other teams that have had better success, but I really think they belong on this list. And my main justification is their performance at the Season 4 RLCS World Championship, where they actually beat NRG and really proved that the Oceanic region has some crazy Rocket League talent. One of the things that they did really well was they adapted as a team from playing in RLCS Season 3 to being able to really play with some of the best teams in the world, even though outside of LAN, they don't get to really compete against the NA and EU teams. They have to just play the Oceanic teams. So I definitely think they belong on this list, and I'm actually really excited to see how they do in the next season of RLCS. Number 9, Method. Team Method is a perfect example of how sticking together can really pay off. After a sad end to Season 3 of RLCS, where they just barely missed out on making it to LAN, they stuck it out, and I would say they're now one of the more dominant teams in Europe. They had one of the best records in League play history in Season 4, and they placed second at the RLCS Finals. Method is one of those teams that really just has chemistry, and they have so many different play styles, but they just complement each other really well. Plus, let's be real, a lot is nuts. Number 8, G2 Esports. I've put G2 on this list mainly because of their recent success after a really long streak where they were constantly in the shadow of some of the other more dominant North American teams. Their finish at the Season 4 LAN was really a big surprise to a lot of people, myself included. But then they were able to carry that confidence and momentum into E-League, where they took down the best team in the world right now, Gale Esports. In E-League, they upset Gale Force in the championship, which really helped them be on the list even more. This team is a ton of fun to watch, with JKnap's crazy playstyle, Rizzo's personality, and Kronovi's, well, kind heart. They're just so easy to root for, and now they've finally proven that they compete against any team in the world. Number 7, Market Aces. This was a team that formed for the Season 2 RLCS, and it consisted of Pashy, the captain, Violent Panda, and Devo. This team was really the turning point for Devo and Violent Panda, and also the roots of certain teams' major success. Like, this team would ultimately shape the competitive scene into what we see today. Devo went on to play for Northern Gaming, now Envy, who won the Season 3 RLCS Championship, and Violent Panda would ultimately lead Gale Force to become one of the best teams of all time, if not the best. And it really all centered around Pashy as one of the best team captains and players ever. He just has this knack for taking one or two relatively unknown players and helping them become great. Anyways, though this particular team was short-lived, I still think they have a place on this list. Number 6, NRG. Even though they have yet to win RLCS, which I really think they will at some point, this team is probably the most dominant NA team in recent times. They've won the regional championship 3 times, and that's really my reason for putting them on this list. Plus, they've stayed together for so long and been dominant in NA for so long, and that's really what makes them stand out from so many other great teams. They've just stuck it out through a lot of really tough times and a lot of tough losses. And how can you not love Jacob?
I love you all, every one of you.
Number 5, Cloud9, formerly known as the Muffin Men. This team formed when Iris, a team made up of Lichinio, Squishy, and Torment, with Gimmick as a sub, failed to make it to LAN in Season 3 of the RLCS qualifiers. At that point, they had been completely dominating virtually every tournament in North America, and I believe they were a 1 seed for the qualifier. After they lost, Squishy formed the team known as the Muffin Men, and they had a major breakout at the DreamHack Atlanta tournament, where they took home first place, defeating most of the best teams in the world, and completely upsetting Gale Force in the finals. Like, this is one of the best tournaments I think I've ever watched. The major gaming org Cloud9 then picked them up before RLCS Season 4. This team deserves to be so high because of their complete dominance in RLCS Season 4 league play, and their overall 3rd place finish at RLCS, with honestly a lot of ongoing success as well. Watching Cloud9 a lot of times just feels like you're watching one big highlight reel. Number 4, Northern Gaming. This team was originally known as We Dem Girls, the first great European challenger to FlipSid back when RLCS had first started, and now they're known as Team Envy. At the first 2 RLCS championships, Northern Gaming took 3rd place. After Season 2, they brought in Devo, and combined with Maestro and Remco, they really were an incredible team. And it showed as they ended up winning the finals against Mocket with an amazing bracket reset. Their roster has since changed as Maestro is now playing for Team Fnatic, and Greasymeister has actually joined them again. We Dem Girls and Northern Gaming were always known as aggressive, offensive teams primarily, and with Greasymeister back on their team, I think that could actually happen again. This is kind of a trend among most of these teams. They have a run of success, sometimes a really long run, but then they start to fall off. I guess for some reason Rocket League is just one of those esports that's really hard to stay on top of. You just can't take anything for granted because there's always going to be another team working just as hard and waiting for their chance to win. Number 3, iBUYPOWER Cosmic. This was the first great Rocket League team in North America. At one point early in the game's history, IBP had won 49 competitive matches in a row. The first roster consisted of Kronovi, Gibbs, and Sad Jr. I remember watching all of Kronovi and Gibbs' videos and just being amazed at how fast and efficient they were. They really showed that Rocket League could be a fun sport to watch, and it's so crazy to think how far the game has come since those days. Gibbs ended up leaving IBP to become a caster, and so going into the first RLCS, the roster was Kronovi, Gambit, and Lachinio. IBP barely made it into the first RLCS LAN, and things didn't look good when their star Gambit dropped out of play for personal reasons. So now they were a 4 seed, with their sub Over0 stepping in for Gambit. Oh, and they had to face FlipSid in the first round. And most of you guys probably already know this story, but IBP made an incredible showing, and they ultimately beat their rivals FlipSid in the finals. This was honestly one of the best things that could have happened for Rocket League as an esport. I still remember watching that crazy tournament, and even though I really didn't know what was going on and the production wasn't near as good as it is now, it was an awesome thing to watch. Alright, number 2, Gale Force. The Gale Force roster came about basically as a result of KDOP, Violent Pando, and Turbo Pulsa leaving their teams to basically start a European dream team. You guys remember when Kevin Durant went to play for the Warriors? Yeah, think of that times 3. These guys were all such dominant players already, and now they're all on one team. They've won 1 RLCS championship. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if they won the next 2 or 3. They're that good. You could probably argue that they should be the number 1 spot. I guess it really depends on how you judge greatness. For me, they still have yet to prove themselves in the way that the number 1 team has. I guess only time will tell. Alright, before I reveal my number 1 pick, and I'm sure it's a complete mystery to you guys, let's take a look at a few honorable mentions. Alright, my pick for the greatest Rocket League team of all time goes to FlipSid Tactics. You guys all knew it was coming. It's hard to even calculate how great FlipSid has been. And what people forget is that this team, with basically the same roster, until relatively recently, was dominating back in the earliest days of Rocket League. Before RLCS and going into the first season, FlipSid Tactics roster was Marky Duda as team captain, Cookseer97, and Mike Rules. And they basically dominated Europe for the first 8 months of Rocket League. After season 1, FlipSid picked up Greasymeister in place of Mike Rules, and they were able to win season 2 after an epic lower bracket run and bracket reset in the finals. Since season 2, the team has been successful, though not even close to their early days. I'm not really sure what the future holds for FlipSid, or really any of these older powerhouse teams that have fallen off in the last 2 seasons. We're definitely to the point where being a veteran of the original game means absolutely nothing, and it really hasn't meant anything for a while now. Now really the key difference between teams that are winning and teams that aren't is work ethic and drive. That's really what has made these teams great, and it's really what has made other teams great as well and kind of taken their place. Alright, I hope you guys liked this one. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Also, let us know in the comments below what your picks are. Also, don't forget to check out GAMERLINK. That's the app that I mentioned earlier that helps you find teammates and friends. And it's right in the description below. Until next time, peace out.
They copying all of my moves, they think I'ma lose, I think it's a compliment. I'm never gonna settle, I always want more, I'm counting accomplishments. They making up lies, they jealous inside, but work is what got me in.